Business success is not about doing a lot of smart things. Business success is about doing less dumb things. You see, you are a product of your environment. Instead of trading hours for dollars, you can trade your ideas and skills for millions.
Need motivation?
Watch a top 10 with Believe Nation.
Top 10, I got a top 10. Got my motivation high for my top 10. Gotta learn from the wise women and men. All my life, like 9 for my top 10, top 10, 9. This one's for my top 10.
Hey, it's Evan Carmichael, and I make these videos because you are probably the most ambitious person in your circle, but you know you're capable of more, and you get that push by surrounding yourself with the best. So today, let's learn from one of the best, Dan Lok, and my take on his top 10 rules of success. Enjoy. Okay, let's kick it off with rule number 1. Endure pain.
The number one quality of a successful entrepreneur, that's the advice I didn't want to hear, but it's very, very true, is the ability to endure pain for a long period of time, meaning having a high tolerance of pain. I was like, what? I didn't get it back then. I was like, I don't understand. Now I'm like, yes.
I hear that. Wow, that's great.
It's so true. Not talent, none of that. It's, can you endure pain for a long period of time? And I don't mean physical pain. I mean emotional pain, meaning that would you push forward when the world is against you? When your family don't even support you?
Rule number 2, block out time for social.
That first hour of every day is very, very precious. You should think about how you can invest that wisely. For some, maybe you want to do some light reading in the morning. For some, maybe you want to do a little bit of exercise. You want to work out. You want to do a little bit of yoga, a little bit of stretching. For some, you want to have a very nice breakfast with your family. It is connection time. For some, maybe it's time for you to set the goals and say, okay, what are some of the things that you want to accomplish that particular day? What you don't want is to jump into email mode. I always say your inbox is other people's agenda. Every single time you check your inboxes, all these things that just demands your attention, that pulls your way, that distracts you. You don't want to check your emails 10 times a day, and you don't want to check your social media 10, 20 times a day either. It's very easy to screen suck all day and you're just checking messages repetitively, right? And you check it every 10, 20 minutes. Do you really need to do that? The metaphor I use all the time is, do you go check your mailbox 10, 20 times a day? Then why would you go check your inbox 10, 20 times a day? One of the things I do is I block out the time for social media and I block out time for email. That's it. I have a start time, I have an end time. I don't go check social media 10, 20 times a day because I've got other things to do. I've got more important things I have to accomplish.
Rule number 3, focus.
I have a quote. Distraction is the only true luxury of poor people. Laser beam focus is mandatory for success. Distraction is the true luxury of poor people. You notice, look at the people who are broke, distracted. They can't focus. They can't be like that. That's focus. Can't do it. All over the place. Sometimes I see entrepreneurs. You can see the way they talk all over the place. How many entrepreneurs like that? They talk about this, they talk about that, they jump on all kinds of topics. There's no logic to what is it. I'm going to do this, I'm thinking of this idea, I want to do that, I'm kind of working on this, and this. That's the way you talk, I know that's the way you think, and that's the way you work, and you're
Rule number 4, don't be greedy.
One thing I've learned in business is business success is not about doing a lot of smart things. Business success is about doing less dumb things. Because you think about, for most successful people's career, you will notice if you study their whole lives, you will notice they actually, most of us, we make a couple key moves in a few critical times. It is not like we do 100 things
perfectly and 100 things executed perfectly. Usually it's about, hey, I made this decision to get into this industry, or I made that decision to launch that new product, or I hired this person, or I met that person. It's a few what I call defining moments that shape the entire lives and careers, right? But what doesn't work for a lot of people is they make a lot of dumb mistakes. The problem is with dumb mistakes is the bounce back time. It's not just making the mistakes, how much the mistake costs, is how much it takes for you to solve that, learn from that, and then bounce back, right? It's the do-over that's very costly, right? If you start a business, you fail, you go bankrupt, well, it takes you probably years to get back to where you were, just back to normal, right? That do-over costs a lot of time, and every single do-over takes a lot of time. So you think about if it's about doing less dumb things and not doing a bunch of smart things. You need to do a couple smart things, a couple key moves, but it's about doing less dumb things. If that's the case, then you gotta think about risk and reward. And a lot of entrepreneurs get into trouble, even small entrepreneurs get into trouble because of one word, greed. They get greedy. They bet, they risk something that they have to pursue something they actually don't need, right? I was reading a piece of news actually on the internet that a successful entrepreneur, actually in Hong Kong, have a very successful business, but they got into the stock market, over leverage, a bunch of margin calls. They lost everything he has. Not only he owes now millions and millions of dollars, but lost his core business. His core business is successful, but because he wants more, because of greed, he bet everything he's got, he over leveraged for this particular investment to bet on the stock market, and then lost not only from the stock market, but his core business. That's very, very sad. He could avoid that by understanding the risk and reward kind of ratio. Understanding how do you take calculated risk. From my perspective, I do not like risk at all. And in fact, anything that I do, the first thing I think about is not how much money I would make. I think about how much money I could potentially lose. So I want to give you and leave you with a few questions. Before you make any decision, especially financial decision, business decision, right? A money decision, ask yourself these 3 questions, okay? How much money could you potentially lose? Now, how much money you can make, how much money could you potentially lose? What is the downside? What is the downside? Not being overly optimistic. It's easy to be overly optimistic. What is the downside? And the third question is, can I live with the downside? Hi, this is Dan Lok. I want to share with you a lesson from Evan Carmichael's new book, Built to Serve. This section is about making money from your purpose. You have to embrace that. If you never learn how to make money from your purpose, you'll always end up needing a day job, and your purpose will become a hobby. If that sounds like a great life to you, then I'm happy for you. If not, then you need to figure out a money-making model that makes sense, one that is consistent, one that is significant, one that can pay you so you can quit your job and succeed to the point where you are providing jobs for others and helping even more people. You see, money is nothing more than a byproduct of value creation. The more people that you serve, the more successful that you will be. So to have long-term success is not just built to last or built to sell or even built to scale. It is built to serve. And this book will teach you exactly how to do that.
Rule number 5, keep off poor habits.
Number 5, poor in habits. They are lazy, they procrastinate, they value comfort instead of freedom and success. They take drugs, they smoke, they drink. Stay away from those people. You see, you are a product of your environment. You cannot help but be influenced by people around you. Successful people, they just simply have better habits. That is it. So stay away from those people.
Rule number 6, manage your priorities.
You and I, we only have 24 hours a day. You cannot make them go faster. You cannot make them go slower. We cannot create more time. All we could do is actually manage our priorities. So when someone tells me, oh, I don't have time, what they're actually saying is, this is not that important for me. It's not my priority. That's what they're actually saying. Well, I don't have time to exercise. What they actually mean is, exercise is not that important to me. That's the truth. So time management is actually priority management. And at the end of the day, priority management is actually self-management. How you manage yourself and how you manage your energy. What do you invest your energy in? Into something that will contribute to your happiness, to your health, to your well-being, to your success. That's the key.
Rule number 7, trade ideas.
You see, you have to understand how money works. Money earned is nothing more than a byproduct of value creation. As long as you can bring value to the marketplace, you can render a service or product in exchange of money. So instead of trading hours for dollars, you can trade your ideas and skills for millions.
Rule number 8, take responsibility.
I was struggling. I was in my 20s. I had just failed my 13th businesses. I had started and failed at 13 businesses. And back then I was lost. And I was blaming everything else. And when I met my first mentor, Alan, when he sat down with me and he asked me the question, Dan, what's not working? I said, everything is not working, right? I'm not making enough money, right? I'm in debt. I had all these failures I don't understand. Customers are so cheap. The government, I don't know why, right? The tax so high, everything, and the economy is bad. And I was just pointing fingers at everyone else. I wasn't taking responsibility for my own life. And my mentor, Alan, said to me, unless and until you take 100% responsibility for your own life, then you're not going to be successful. And I thought to myself, maybe he's right. Maybe at that time I thought, maybe not 100%, but maybe I'm at fault. And he says, not maybe, because you chose to start those businesses. You chose those partners. You chose to spend your time on this. Every single decision you made on your own, right, to the best of your knowledge, but still, you chose. What happened, you chose and you act on it. And from then on, I learned to take responsibility. The buck stops with me. If it's meant to be, it's up to me. And it's something that you need to think about, because lame people blame people. You can make money or you can produce results. You cannot do both.
Rule number 9, create value in time.
Let's say your goal, your financial goal is to make $100,000 a year, 6-figure income. Wouldn't you agree that's pretty good for most people? $100,000 a year. And let's say on average, you work 40 hours a week. And we have 52 weeks a year. Let's say you take 2 weeks off, 50 weeks a year. So 50 weeks times 40 hours, that's 2,000 hours. So take your annual income goal, $100,000. Let's divide that by 2,000 hours. What do you get? You get $50 per hour. So what it means is this: if your goal is to make $100,000 a year, it means that your hourly rate needs to be at least, at the very minimum, $50 an hour. Now, here's the key. Look at everything that you do every single day and ask yourself this question. Comment below. Is what I'm doing worth $50 an hour? Now, if what you're doing now is not worth $50 an hour, that means for every single hour that you're working, you need to be at least making $50 an hour. That's the very bare minimum of the value that you need to create for every hour that you put in. If what you're doing is not worth $50 an hour, then how the hell in the world ever you're gonna get to $100,000 a year? It's cause and effect.
And rule number 10, the last one before a very special bonus clip, is take time to learn.
I want you to think about how many hours you spend watching TV or on Netflix versus how many hours you study finance, business, money, how money works. I want you to compare the time that you invest. You think about it, most people, they spend their entire lives working for money, yet they never spend even a few hours, their whole life, learning how money works.
Now I've got a special bonus clip that I think you're going to enjoy. But before that, it's time for the question of the day. I want to know, what was your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week? When you watch a video and you get motivated, the science says you have a 35% chance of following through. That's not enough. But when you write down what time, what place, and how you're going to actually take action on it, you jump to 91% chance of following through. And when you have public accountability and you commit to other people that you're gonna do it, it jumps to 95% that you will follow through. So I want that for you, Believe Nation. I wanna know your single biggest takeaway from this video and your plan of action for the next week. Put it down in the comments below so I can celebrate you.
When it comes to success, EQ eats IQ for breakfast. Now, IQ mostly it's genetic, what you're born with. However, EQ could be developed, learned, and refined. Successful people, they have a high degree of emotional intelligence, meaning that they don't crack under pressure. They stay calm. They know how to deal with stress. They know how to deal with anxiety, even when things don't go their way. Hi, this is Dan Lok. If you're a fan of Evan's work, if you want to know exactly how to model my success, I want to invite you to join me for a special online training. All you have to do is click on the link below. You can join me for absolutely no charge. So click on the link below and I will see you in class.
If you want 10 more amazing rules with Dan Lok, check out the video right there next to me. I think you'll love it. Continue to believe, and I'll see you there.
Almost all millionaires have in common is they have exceptional communication skills because they recognize that communication equals wealth.